Oh man, I think it's almost time. Are you almost ready, V?
I'm ready. I've been ready.
Oh, we're in the Matrix a little. What's going on, everyone? We're here. It's M and V. We're ready to do a whole thing. And what's the whole thing we're gonna do? Trailer reaction for you. Aren't you lucky? Yes, the answer is always yes to that. That should be anyway. And boy, howdy, we've got a good one. It's Honest Trailers. Camera. Why? Honest Trailers. Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. We have some things to say about Rise of Skywalker. We know that you people have some things to say about Rise of Skywalker, so leave mints. We're doing this live right now, and that's why it's not all edited because it's all live. So when this is done, you can comment, you can like, or whatever, and I'll leave a time in the title when we get to the actual reaction, which is going to be very soon because this is a longer one, and then we have a lot to get to after with the review, and this is going to be a review within a review, because this is our chance to talk about Rise of Skywalker at the same time as this. So I'm going to check the audio really quick and the video, and then we'll do it, and then we'll get back to everything else.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay, I think we're okay. Jeez, there's a whole thing to do here. All right, are you ready?
Yup.
Let's get to it.
Without
further ado. And by the way, all the music is brought to you by DGTV, the best royalty-free synthwave you can get this side of the galaxy. Ooh. That was not scripted. We're just both idiots. Okay, you ready? This is Honest Trailers: Rise of Skywalker. 3, 2.
Woo.
3, 2. Woo. No, that's new.
From Colin Trevorrow, until someone saw the Book of Henry, and the director who's never seen a landing he couldn't not stick, comes the epic conclusion to The Force Awakens. Star Wars Episode 7.5, The Rise of Skywalker.
I got a bad feeling about this.
The Last Jedi asked you to forget everything you knew about Star Wars, so when some fans threw the kind of fit usually reserved for ethics and games journalism, Disney panicked and tried to mash the pieces back together in this hollowed-out shell of a trilogy that's missing any consistency in its plot, themes, or characters. Unless you fill in the blanks on Twitter, read all the novels.
Right.
And happen to be
It's true, though. It's more incentive to do that.
Always during the crossover event.
The day of victory
Nice.
is at hand. The day of revenge. The day of the Sith.
Oh, that's what the Dead Speak was referencing.
Yeah.
Fortnite.
Yeah.
Just like how Return of the Jedi referred to
Hey.
the second Death Star in Root Beer Tapper.
That's
When
funny.
we left them, the Resistance was down to its last gasp, and the First Order reigned supreme. Now, stuff has happened. And the
Stuff has
Resistance is
happened.
back to fighting strength, while the First Order is taking loans from the rich old grandpa they don't call anymore. They'll strike a dark bargain with the only character left on the rotting carcass of the original trilogy, Palpatine. Or a clone of him that's like rotting away, and Snoke is also a clone and he's being pickled? I don't know. Not super clear. The Emperor is enacting the same plan he had last time. Troll a young Jedi into striking him down.
Strike me down, and your journey towards the dark side will be complete.
Strike me down, and my spirit will pass into you.
And when that fails, hit him with the old zap hands. But luckily, the same Luke Skywalker who bailed in this whole mess also left a scavenger hunt to stop him, sending our heroes running to find the thingy
The location
The
of
dagger,
the Wayfinder
right.
has been inscribed.
There was a lot of
upon
contention
this
about the dagger.
that leads to the other
I liked it.
thingy.
It's a fantasy
Emperor's
movie.
Wayfinder is in the Imperial Vault.
that leads to the bad guy.
She's going to Exegol. She's showing us how to get there.
While the First Order keeps sending them running whenever some character growth is about to happen.
There's an incoming destroyer.
Gotta go now.
Ben, we're about to be cooked! We gotta go! They're coming! Come on!
You know, I've been thinking a lot about this film, and the biggest issue it has at its core is, oh no, TIE fighters! Everybody scram! all the new characters you still barely know after 3 movies have returned. Like Poe, who I guess was a smuggler at some point.
Your friend's old job was running
She was
spice.
cool.
Completing his arc
I
from
liked
Han
her.
Solo type
Yeah.
to just Han Solo. Finn, who's still fighting against all odds
Right.
to keep himself in the movie.
I need to go alone.
We go together. We're all in this.
Gotta go after her.
Including me.
I'm here too.
Maz Kanata, who snatched a medal out of Leia's cold dead hands just to please some 40-year-old fanboys. These poor schmucks, whose stories must have been cut for time. Kylo Ren, continuing the Skywalker tradition of being a genocidal death cultist who's redeemed by a single act of good. And Rey, who's taken Luke's X-Wing,
Right.
his lightsaber,
Yes.
his book collection, possibly his childhood home, and his last name.
Ray who? Ray Skywalker.
She's taking his whole life.
Is Rey playing the long game? Because I think Luke just got
She
talented
did.
Mrs. Ridley.
Jeez.
Don't like the newcomers? Don't worry, no one is ever really gone. Rejoin your old pals 3PO, Chewie, Luke, Leia, Han, and Lando, who are so sidelined at this point that one of them is fake memory wiped.
Memory restoration complete.
One of them fake dies.
Oh, yeah. That was
One of
intense,
them
though.
thinks Last Jedi was for fake fans only.
A Jedi's weapon deserves more respect.
One of them dies from causing the fake death
Right.
of her son. One of them died 2 movies ago and is so over this franchise, he wouldn't even get a haircut to cameo as a memory. And one of them is alive and well enough to seemingly hit on his own daughter.
Oh,
Well, let's find out.
Didn't know that's who Janna was supposed to be? It was in the Rise of Skywalker visual companion book, idiot. You should have been reading that in between
Idiot.
rounds of Fortnite. You call yourself a Star Wars fan. So strap in for a conclusion
Tight.
that brings so much new to the franchise.
Jedi
From
flip.
the new Force powers that would have really come in handy for Qui-Gon
Okay.
Jinn,
good point.
to hammering it home that all these dead stormtroopers were actually kidnapped children,
Harvest more of the galaxy's young.
to finally seeing the Knights of Ren do absolutely nothing than go out like a bunch of weak-ass punks.
Yeah.
And mercifully
Yeah.
brings
Oh,
the
that
new
was cool.
Star Wars cinematic era to a
That was
close
awesome.
with a sloppily constructed, hastily executed
Oh,
mess
I liked
that
it.
managed to do the impossible. Unite fans who loved The Last Jedi and fans who hated The Last Jedi by pleasing none of them.
It's on fire!
That's a fair point. I mean, kind of.
Starring-
I was pleased, but.
Oh, we're using our
into it.
made-up names. Then I am Ray Skywalker.
Hucked Finn, Narco
Hucked Finn.
Polo,
Narco-
Gentle Ben,
Use
Gentlemen.
the Force. Me.
the only consistent character across
Nice.
all 9 films. Participation trophies.
Don't force so
Participation.
hard. You'll end up just like your brother.
Oh,
An
man.
old man wearing the same outfit he had in his 20s.
Kind of.
mane!
The Rocketeer.
I'm
Roland
not-
James Dio. Tony
Roland
Sid
James
cloned
Dio.
this in a cave. Bland Moff Tarkin. A
Bland
Rose
Moff
by any other
Tarkin,
name
oh.
would get to speak. How can I be a mechanic? I
Oof.
have no arms. Darth Sibelius. You know what's cooler than 1 Captain Phasma? 6 Captain Phasmas. And
Oh,
Rey's
snap.
dramatic
Knights of Ren.
reveal face.
Reveal face. Reveal. Yeah, she does a lot of reveal faces.
She has a great reveal face.
She has a lot of those. Oh, my mind is blown.
Star Wars Episode 9, The Last Star Wars. For a while at least. They really need to think this through. You know, I'm starting to think it's a bad idea for one studio to make every big movie.
I was cybernetically engineered to pilot a spacecraft. You were cybernetically engineered to be a douchebag. What you do to the droid?
What'd you do to the Falcon?
Falcon's a lot better shape than he is.
BB-8's not on fire.
What's left of him isn't on fire.
On your left.
Ooh.
But there are more of us, Bo.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Oh no.
Uh-oh.
Wash your hands. I've got a lovely bunch of coconuts. There they are, all standing in a row. Who you calling a cootie queen? You lint.
Nice.
I'm sorry for peeing during Be a Man.
Nice. Okay. Alright. Well, I guess it's time we get into our contention, right? Like, we get into our stuff about it? Like, right? Like, is that what we do at this point? I think. I feel.
Yeah. I liked it. But I'm a new Star Wars fan. I started with The Last Jedi and then went backwards. So I haven't been invested as long as a lot of Star Wars fans have. I don't know. I try to compare it to if they did a reboot of something that I really loved and how I would feel about it. And I think I would just really love that they're rebooting something that I love. You know what I mean? And if I don't, then, well, okay.
Right, because it's not like Harry Potter, right? Because she's a big Harry Potter fan, so it's not like it's a reboot of that.
Yeah, exactly. But even if it was, like, they did a spin-off of Harry Potter, you know, Fantastic Beasts, and it...
Well, for me, this is, but I mean, like, that's the thing. This is like my Harry Potter.
Yeah.
And I'm fine with it. Like, it's not her Harry Potter. Her Star Wars is Harry Potter, and my Harry Potter is Star Wars. If you can dig. So, like, the whole idea is that, oh, sorry, 1 second. So the idea is that, she gets where I'm coming from, I get where she's coming from, and I can see why the Harry Potter fans would get mad about things, and I think she could see where the Star Wars fans can get mad about things. I can too. Obviously, I'm a Star Wars fan. So I was happy with all of it, even like The Last Jedi. I was mad. I'm not gonna lie. I got mad at first, and I liked it, and I was like, at the end of the day, they're great. Like they're all Star Wars. I love Star Wars. I'm on the light side of the Force when it comes to the fandom. I appreciate all of it. I congratulate all of it. I'm like, I think all of it's great, and I would like more of it. And I'm just happy because when I was a kid in the 90s, and I was reading all the stupid Star Wars books, and I didn't have the TV shows or anything. We had the video game. Thank God the video games existed. I played Shadow of the Empire, read that book, I read Jedi Search. That stuff was all there, and it was awesome, and I was grateful for it.
Yeah.
But, like, I didn't have anything else. Now that we have the new movies, I'm like, look, everyone, we went Star Wars list for, like, most of the 90s. Like, that sucked. Now we have Star Wars again.
Yes.
I'm very happy with that. I would like more, please. Keep it going. Like, what the hell? Like, don't stop the Star Wars. It makes me very happy.
And there's some exciting stuff happening in the Star Wars universe right now, too.
Yeah, Mandalorian is great. Like, we just found out news. Oh, update on Mandalorian, in case you didn't know. If you're a Star Wars fan, there's a character called Ahsoka Tano. Confirmed by everyone, Rosario Dawson is playing Ahsoka Tano. Everyone is, what is it?
Just perfect.
Empire, I think, or not Empire, but like some other publications. It's just been confirmed, right? Who knows? But it's all been confirmed. And I'm very excited about that. That's happening in Mandalorian. That's going to be the next season. So she's going to be in it. And she's, if you're not familiar who Ahsoka Tano is, she's like badass Jedi Knight. So that's going to be amazing. I can't wait. And she's directly involved with the Darksaber too. If you've seen the not prequels, they're kind of like prequels, any of the animated stuff, she's in it. So like, there's exciting, cool stuff happening. Yeah, were the sequels trying too hard to people please? I think the last one might have been, but I liked it. I liked it. There was so much Star Wars-y stuff happening in The Rise of Skywalker that I feel like it kind of made up for all the Last Jedi, because Last Jedi was very subtle, and it was very subtle, and it was very subdued. In Rise of Skywalker was like, nope, blah, here's everything. And I like that. But what are your thoughts before we kind of end on the Honest Trailer's criticism of everything?
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed the movie. Like I said earlier, you know, I'm a new Star Wars fan. I just got into it in the last couple years. So I haven't been digesting it for decades like the majority of fans.
Right. Good point.
I also, like, you know, I am about to majorly embarrass myself. But, like, I read and I write fan fiction, which is nothing but fan service. Like, that's literally what fan fiction is. It's fan service. So
good point.
I see nothing wrong with it.
I like, and all this stuff about, like, all the little criticisms about, like, why Palpatine, no one explained, and the video games explained, and all this. I'm like, well, actually, to be honest, controversy, right? Zack Snyder, Justice League now. We're going to switch to Justice League. No, J.J. Abrams had a 3-hour cut of the movie that Disney said, nope, we don't want it. And he's like, but... And they're like, cut it down, and so he did. and then after a while they asked him to do other stuff, and so it's not entirely JJ's film, thus it's not entirely JJ's fault.
Yeah.
I'd say Disney came in and kind of, but the stuff that did, some of the stuff I heard about Disney changing, I liked it. And I'm like, really? Disney changed that? I mean, JJ, I'm like, I like that. I like that choice. It's like they kind of understand the fandom to a degree. And I think that it works. I mean, like, but then there's other stuff that JJ wanted. I'm like, oh, that would have been really cool if they did that, because I really wish they would have done that. But
yeah.
I don't know. Your thoughts on all the changes like that came about? Like, would you have rather have thought, oh, a 3-hour thing would be better, or would you rather have, or were you happy with what you got?
I mean, I was happy with what I got, but I'm a sucker for, like, extra content on DVDs and Blu-rays and stuff. I love that stuff. So if they released, like, a director's cut and had a bunch of, like, deleted scenes or a longer version, I wouldn't be mad at that either.
I don't know if they've ever done a director's cut for Star Wars. I think if they did, this would be the only one I'd be like, okay. Maybe even Last Jedi, a director's cut for Last Jedi would be, actually, a director's cut for each one would be really good. I wouldn't mind that.
All kind of director's cuts, or at least the ones,
technically,
the originals, because they went in and remastered all of them?
Well, I think, sorry, I was listening back. I think technically every cut of a movie is a director's cut, right?
No,
I hate saying that.
Every cut of a movie is a studio's cut.
Well, it depends. Like, there's the director's, like, there's the one the director wants, there's the one the studio wants, and then there's the one that they get. Mm-hmm. And then, but there's actually 5 different movies that happen during the process. There's the movie that you there's the movie that you outline. Mm-hmm. There's the movie that you write. There's the movie that you storyboard. There's the movie that you film. And then there's the movie that you edit. And then there's the movie that comes out.
So 6.
So there's, like, for one movie you have 6 different versions of one film before it. Probably 7, I think, because then there's another one after that. I think there's, like, then the 6th one is the test audience. Then after the test audience goes, then it's the 7th version. Then you finally get it. That's basically what happens. Like, every film that has a major studio release and a wide distribution across the country and the world. Excuse me, sorry, I'm boring you. Just yawning again. Generally goes through the same process of like it's 7 different films. Like, there's the one the writers wrote, there's the one that the producer pitched or whoever pitched, there's the one the director is making, and then technically there's the one that the actors think that they're making, and you're like, well, the actors think that they're making a completely different thing.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, like, it's amazing that any film could ever please anybody, considering how many life cycles it goes through until it's finally in theaters. So Rise of Skywalker went through so many little things because it's Disney and it's JJ and it's everyone in between Disney and JJ, plus marketing, plus canonical storytelling, plus everything. It's just like, after a while.
Yeah.
So, I mean, do we agree that if we had one director, writer, well, at least one director, I think we all agree, if there was like one director that did all 3, you could have different writers, you could just, you know?
If there was one...
Sorry, I need you to, you keep leaning back, I need you to sit up so the mic can get you. I'm sorry. Thank you so much.
If there was one singular vision, whether it be the director or the writer, I think that was important, and since that didn't happen, there was kind of a, like, bump that they had to get over between the 2nd and the 3rd movie that wouldn't have existed otherwise, but it happened, and that's what we got, and you're either gonna like it or you're not.
Yeah, I was very pleased with everything. I walked out being like, yes, this is like kind of the one I wanted, and I'll take kind of the one I wanted. Everything being explained in books and everything else being explained in video games, like, that's fine, but, you know, there would have been a 3-hour thing. It would have been a 3-hour situation, but it wasn't, and I would have preferred it. If there's a director's cut, that'd be great if they had one for each one, but I do feel if there was one singular vision for all 3, kind of like George Lucas. I mean, the thing is, the Star Wars movies, George Lucas was the one singular vision, but each film was like every movie, it was like a conglomeration of all these different creative minds coming together to create one film.
Yeah, but they were all consistent.
And that's the thing, because of Lucas George Lucas being like, this is what I want, this is where I see it going. And we see what Star Wars is without George Lucas, right? We see it's a conglomeration of ideas, but there's not that one singular vision. Now, each director has their singular vision for the film because that's their job, they were hired for, but there wasn't one consistent vision that I think everyone agrees that's probably the biggest problem with it, was that we didn't have that for the entirety of it. So at the end of the day, I'm going to say I think that's the biggest problem with the sequels, period. That's the biggest problem with the sequels at the end of the day.
I think it would have been fine whether JJ did all 3 of them or Ryan did all 3 of them.
Rain or Ryan?
Yeah.
We don't know. Rain or Ryan? Johnson. Jansen.
Would have gotten a better trilogy if one of them had done all 3.
Yeah.
I think we would have gotten a great trilogy regardless of which one of them did all 3.
I think so too. Even
But
camera,
that's my point.
No, I agree. I totally agree with that. I think even if it was Rian Johnson, if he had his vision throughout all 3, that's why I think it was so jarring when he came on, because it was like Rian Johnson had his own unique movie he wanted to make, and JJ did too. But that's what Kathleen Kennedy and the other producers wanted. Not just Kathleen Kennedy, but everyone else. They wanted like a relay race, like a baton. And we see now that didn't really work. So they needed to all have Star Wars kind of works better with one singular vision. That's I think they figured that out. So now the next trilogy that comes, which is going to be a Knights of the Old Republic, or between Knights of the Old Republic and prequels, that's the new one, which is, I can't remember what it's called, but it's taking place in that era. And if we have one singular vision or 2, even if it's a duo director team, hell, even if it's 3 different directors for each movie, but they all get together and agree on how that comes together, that's cool too. I would like that as well. Be like, hey, we have a different director for each film, but they're all getting together and they're all meeting on how they're going to do it.
To make sure it's cohesive.
Yeah, that would be fine too. Like, that's okay. Like, that's how TV shows are made, basically, right? Like, the writers get together, each one has a different episode, they make sure it all makes sense and cohesive, they mix it up. I mean, I get it trying to do it all separately, but I think that was the biggest problem for me anyway. But I was pleased with Rise of Skywalker. I was pleased with all of it. I liked all of the sequels. I finally got my what happened to Luke, what happened to Leia, what happened to Han, what happened to Lando. Like, we finally found that out, and I'm like, yes, good. So I was pleased. Like, and it was to be honest, it's my favorite one out of all the sequels. And everyone might hate me for being like, what? But I'm like, no, seriously, think about it. Like, what's the one that has the biggest payoff? And I feel Rise of Skywalker has the biggest payoff, to be honest with you. Like, it just consistently pleased me. Like, it felt like The Force Awakens was the build-up. Last Jedi felt like it was sort of rebuilding up, in a different way. Like, it was sort of like teasing you. Like, the first one felt like a build-up. The second one felt like a tease. And then the third one feels like they just delivered on everything that I wanted, basically. So I was fine. I was like, okay, that works.
Yes.
So as far as honest trailers, they're honest. They're just being honest about what the criticism is, and they always are. And I agree with all their honest criticism because it's true. It's like, but I think a lot of that was there wasn't one cohesive vision. That's it. So let's, I guess, do we rate the honest trailer or do we just say yay?
We just say yay.
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 That was good. Yay. All right, that's going to do it.
Good job.
Thanks for tuning in. If you did, it's irrelevant. Watch our streams. We do them every day. Generally gaming.
Comment, subscribe, hit the bell to be notified every time we post.
Right. Now we're out.
Bye.
We're out.
Live long and prosper.
What? Don't troll. Don't say that. They can't hear us.